The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here with my boys, Jeffrey and Kevin. How are you guys doing tonight?
Not so bad. And you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Even for a Monday, I'm doing great.
Yeah, it is Monday.
Yeah, it's been a weird weekend. Weird week, but feeling better now. And that's where I want to be.
Especially off a tough weekend of Cubs baseball.
Right.
Losing 3 of 4 to the Dodgers. And coming off a week where we played really well in LA, taking 2 of 3. And it felt like you should have got a sweep. And then we sweep Oakland and come back home. You're thinking, okay, game 1, tough. Game 2, we absolutely slaughter them, have a home run party, and then you lose the next 2. And you're thinking going into Saturday, we should win one of these 2 games. You're feeling pretty confident. You have Stroh on the mound on Saturday, feeling good. But we do not come out on top. What were some kind of takeaways? Or let's start out with some good. Let's crack our beer to our player of the week, or player of this series. So, Kevin, let's start with you.
So for me, I'm picking Yan Gomes. I think he's flying under the radar for a lot of folks. This week, I just looked at this week. He batted .294, had a home run, had 3 runs, 3 RBIs, and 1 ridden pitcher. So,
yeah,
he's my guy. What about you, Jeff?
I'm taking our second baseman, Nico Hoerner. Picked up his first couple of dingers against the Dodgers. Stole some more satchels. He's off to a really hot start this season. And our host, Mitchell.
I am going to choose Drew Smyly. He has had the last 2 outings have been wonderful. Friday almost gets a perfect game if it wasn't for, I think, the new defensive tackle for the Bears. I think he just signed a deal, Yan Gomes. But pitching great. And what he's doing with his 2 different types of curveballs is keeping batters off balance. And he doesn't have a pitch mix that's overpowering or that's way above league average. It's just he knows how to mix his pitches to keep batters off balance. And you got to love what you're seeing out of Drew Smyly, especially out of our 4th spot in our pitching rotation. It's great. So Drew Smyly all day. Even on Sundays, he's doing wonderful. So I love what I've seen out of Drew Smyly. Hoping he can keep it up. And Hendricks apparently has pitched a 3-inning simulated game. So maybe if he slides back into that 5th spot, give Wesneski a little breather to regroup and recatch himself, get some starts maybe down AAA. He might be one that eventually gets sent down to kind of figure some stuff back out and get back to being who he is as a pitcher. But let's get into tonight. Let's talk first the bullpen, since we can kind of tie that into the weekend. But it's just an overarching thing that we've kind of reached a point where we need to make some moves. Fulmer again on Saturday, was it? Struggled out of the bullpen. It's been his 2nd or 3rd blown save and loss. Fourth blown save and loss. So what do we do with him, Jeffrey?
Not put him in high leverage situations anymore. So I'm pretty sure that was his 4th blown save, and I think he's had 1 or 2 holds that he's blown as well. That's 6 games for 12 and 9. Right. Some of those games go the other way. Maybe we're 15 and 6, 18 and 3, whatever. I don't know. But we're not the team, the roster. We got a pretty good front end to our batting order. We have a decent roster, but we don't have a roster that's going to storm into the playoffs with 96 wins. We're going to sneak into the playoffs, and we got to take advantage of every game that we possibly can. We can't afford to keep giving away games that we should be winning. Either Saturday or Sunday should have been a winnable game, and I believe
Saturday.
Was
with Stroman that he went 6 strong. I mean, he kind of gave up towards the end, but then
so in the 8th, wasn't it 5-3, and then Fulmer came in the 9th and it became 7-3 real quick?
Or was that That was the 20th. Sorry, Thursday's game. That's the game that Fulmer really blew. With the home run by Ottman.
I believe. I
Yeah.
believe Outman was a tough out, and
Dude, yeah.
we pretty much got beat
Outman-
this year by Outman and Max Muncy.
Yep. It was like
That's
a pitching machine was pitching them balls.
Yeah.
They're sitting dead red.
it was basically those two guys all weekend, but it's just I don't think we can put Fulmer in high leverage situations anymore, and I think we need to find either Estrada or move Keegan Thompson there, because I think Keegan Thompson is one of those guys that's wired where he doesn't care what inning he pitches. He's going to come in and throw gas. So
Right. That's what it's kind of rough when I'm looking at our bullpen right now. We have 3 pitchers with an ERA above 8, which I don't. One of those is Javier Assad, so that's a little outlier. But both Fulmer and Merriweather are sporting high ERAs.
And Boxberger's even struggled lately.
Yes.
Like this is, I don't know if it's just like, hey, this is what they're going through right now, but like it's been a weird week, I would say, from our bullpen. Like they were so strong except for Fulmer, and now we're seeing some struggles. So yeah, I don't know what we do. And the thing is, like, we have some guys down in Iowa. We've talked about it over and over. Cam Sanders been pitching great. 7 third innings. He's given up 3 runs. 12 base on balls. That's where he's struggling. So I would say Cam Sanders is not going to be the guy right now until he figures out limiting those walks. We've talked Rowan Wick is down there. He's pitched 10 innings. He has 6 base on balls. Has 10 earned runs. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to be calling up. Manny Rodriguez down in Iowa. He's pitched 8 innings. 9 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned runs, 5 base on balls, 8 strikeouts. He's not lighting the world on fire. Jeremiah Estrada, he's called up. He's going to be the one that I would say let's go with for right now. We've talked about it. I think Jake said 2 months ago, by the end of the season, Jeremiah Estrada is going to be the guy that we're going to be trusting in the 9th. And so I want to see him get put more in those high leverage situations and just see what we got. I know, like Jeff, what you said, every game is going to mean something this year because it's going to be a tight race, especially for those wild card spots, and giving away games now, it means something. Like it's going to come back. Like I can count on 3 games already this year where I feel like we should have won.
Yep.
And those games, that could be 3 games that could cost us a playoff spot come September, October. And
they cost us, like, the front office looking at trade deadline. Are they going to be picking people up, or are we selling pieces off again? And it's kind of one of those, like, I know we always have this, the last few years, this thing with the bullpen where it figures itself out and then their lights out. But I feel like we can't be throwing these games away right now, because we're going to end up on the sell-off again, because we're going to be 6 games back or something. We could be right there in the mix, like you were saying.
for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, bullpen, I'm with you. And I think I tweeted it out on Friday because I was still a little ticked off in the morning. Decided not to rage tweet Thursday night after that game, but it's like, we need, not saying that Fulmer can't be a guy in this bullpen, but he has never been a closer in his career.
No,
He has been a starter and he's been a middle relief guy. And now we're throwing him into another situation where he hasn't performed yet. And we're expecting him to perform, and we're not seeing it. So for me, I would be one. Let's put him in the 6-7 inning, see what we got. He might be awesome down there. And let's see if one of these other guys that could be our future closer, see if they can do it. And like you said, Keegan Thompson, the thing with him is sometimes I look at him and I'm like, he could be a starter because he has a 5-pitch mix, but then at the same time, he has that bulldog in him, and it's like, okay, put him in the 9th and let's just see what we got. Let's see what we got in Keegan, and he's somebody that we can trust. He's somebody that we've seen enough. He has enough of time in our bullpen where we can see that there is success there. And even if he has one bad outing, we know that he's going to bounce back and say, give me the ball the next day and go out there and shove.
I just want to see him come out to the Wild Thing song, let him come out there just one time, just see how it goes. I agree. I want to see him get some ride there. I like the idea of giving Estrada a little run, but again, we could be throwing away a game or two. So,
maybe because even the game he came in the other night, he struggled a little bit. He walked a couple guys, he got out of it, but he did walk a couple guys, and so that's.
I like the idea. Give it to Keegan. He's put, like you said, he put time in the system. He's doing all the right things. Let's try that. I like the idea of throwing Fulmer in earlier in the game just to maybe he needs to get his legs under him. Maybe he's just the perfect, middle reliever setup guy.
Tell you, if we got a leadoff hitter, we don't have a closer. If we have a leadoff hitter, we don't have a closer.
Right.
Yep. Well, talking about that leadoff hitter, let's get into talking about Nico Hoerner, because Nico, I mean, I will say it right now. He is the best player in baseball that nobody's talking about. And
Absolutely.
More people need to be talking about Nico and what he's doing, because I don't think we've had a leadoff hitter. I know Dexter Fowler in 2016, and I have the 2016 movie playing on behind me. Dex was awesome in the leadoff spot. But we even like before Dex, we didn't have a leadoff guy that we could trust besides like Juan Pierre. And even those, like, I don't remember a lot of Cubs baseball that just have a lights out leadoff guy. And Nico has fit right into that. And I was listening to, it was the rain delay game. So that would have been Sunday. What day was either Saturday or Sunday? One of the days that there was a rain delay, and I was listening to the broadcast, and they had an interview with Jason Hayward, and Hayward was talking about how Hoerner has been doing in the leadoff spot, and he said even when I played the first year that Nico came up, I was allowed to write a lineup one day. Like Ross gave me the lineup card, said you fill it out, and I put Nico in there. He's like, Nico, I could see it from way back that Nico is going to be an amazing leadout. He just has that professional at bat about him that he takes, and he takes that so seriously. And you've seen his bat to ball skills now turn into being able to drive the ball. Jeff, you talked about it with the 2 home runs from this weekend, but you're seeing him be able to drive the ball in the gaps a little bit more. I would like to see a little bit more oppo power, but you're seeing what Nico can provide this offense. And he is a Nico go, we go type of player that we need at that front. So what else are you thinking, Kevin, with what you've seen out of Nico Hoerner?
So it was interesting because I think I was watching the game. I don't remember if it was Thursday or Friday. It was before Nico homered. And it was, what day is this? I just was able to find it and pull it up. I'm pretty sure it was Thursday. Bellinger hit a homer, and they showed a look into the dugout, and Bellinger and Wisdom and Hoerner were all talking together. And they were all doing their little like practice swings and talking about where like Bellinger's head was at, because that seems to be a big issue with where Bellinger got a little more upright. He's been driving the ball. And I just remember I was watching that going, I wonder if we're going to see a little extra pop here in a day or two, because they're all kind of talking with Hoerner, and those two guys are on a tear of hitting dingers. And it has been interesting because I think, before the season, we all weren't sure what Hoerner would look like as a leadoff hitter, because he will swing when it's there. But now we're seeing it pay off, and his ability to lay off the stuff outside the zone and punish anything that comes in there, even if it's just a little flare, or he's been line driving the ball right up the middle, just perfect, a ton, and getting on base. I mean,
no more shift.
Right?
You talked about his being able to not strike out. So right now his K rate is 7.4.
Right?
Wasn't it like 12 and a half or something last year?
Well, in 2020, it was 19%. In 2021, it was 14.7%. In last year, it was 11%. So we've seen those numbers every year that he's been in baseball. His K percentage has gone way down. And just look at his offensive numbers. Like right now, he's has a 367 average, a 406 OBP, a 489 slug, 33 hits, 19 runs. 19 runs. That's a ton of runs he scored.
Right.
5 doubles, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 5 base on balls, and 9 stolen bases. And he leads the league in hits.
Well,
Right.
actually, I think after the weekend, he's one behind Ronald Acuna Jr. But going into the weekend, he was at least tied, if not the leader, with hits in Major League Baseball.
And
I did see that.
Nico's expected batting average by Baseball Savant is in the 98th percentile. Like he's in the top 2% in all of baseball. And like, I mean, my question is like, is it too late to add more years to the contract that
I was thinking the same thing. I was like,
no,
maybe we should add a couple years.
We need. I honestly, if he keeps trending the way he's trending since 2019, and if he stays healthy and stays in Chicago, he's the next second baseman with his number on a flag on the outfield pole.
True.
He's gonna have to get a little bit more power, but yeah, I agree.
Right.
He could be.
If he can like bring up his exit velocity, because I think he's like 88 miles an hour, which is pretty average. If he can bring that up, I'm sure we'll see more pop. But he's going to be like a doubles machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ben Zobrist lived off doubles.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't really care that he doesn't hit a ton of home runs. What's awesome, like when I found out he was going to be our leadoff guy, I'm like, okay, so this is our experiment of finding a leadoff hitter? Well, it's worked out. It's panned out. And, when you start a game and you see he's at the plate, it's how's he going to get on base? Is he going to score this inning when he's on base?
Right.
I mean, it just brings a whole nother level of excitement because I'm no longer watching the game. I'm like, all right, well, here in about 6 pitches, we're going to have 1 out.
Or some action, but he's providing action.
He's providing action to the game.
I can't remember what marquee analyst shared this out, but through his first 267 games, Ron Santo had 1,113 plate appearances, and he had 267 hits. Sandberg, through 1,124 plate appearances, had 279 hits. Nico Hoerner, through 991 plate appearances, has 259 hits. In their OPS, Santo was 796, Sandberg was 689, and Hoerner is 736. So you talk about like putting their name or their number out there, like he's hanging right with Ron Santo and Ryan Sandberg.
Right. The legends.
Like, and the thing is, like, he's not talked about in baseball. Like, he's putting up all-star numbers, and it's about time somebody in baseball starts recognizing what he's doing. Talking baseball, please start saying the name Nico Hoerner, because you need to, because he ain't going anywhere. Like, that's where it's going to start. If Talking Baseball starts talking about Nico Hoerner, everybody's going to know who Nico Hoerner is. And so I'm calling you guys out, John Boy. I'm calling you out. Get on the horn and start talking about Nico Hoerner, because the world of baseball needs to see how this guy plays the game. He plays it the right way, fun, exciting baseball, and kind of like an old style mentality of how he puts bat to ball skills, and just reminds me of like 90s baseball.
Right.
Yeah. his style of play and his approach to the play, it does remind me of 1990s baseball.
Yeah.
I can almost smell the gum in the baseball card pack.
It reminds me of playing slow pitch, and you always had that one guy was like, I just swat and trot, baby. You just gotta hit it over the infield. Just swat and trot.
We talked a little bit about earlier about meaningful games, and every game is a meaningful game with the way, if we want to make playoffs, like right now, our projected win total is 80 games right now. And that's not putting into factor of all the things that have landed and have come into fruition of what Jed planned when he signed Bellinger. Like Bellinger is back to being Belly of old.
Oh yeah.
And so if you factor that in, that's maybe one or two more games. Also factor in, they didn't project Patrick Wisdom to be raking like he is. You put that in, that's maybe one or two more games. That puts us up to like 83, 84 games. It project Justin Steele to continue his success. That's maybe one or two more. That gets us to like 85. That means we're in playoff contention. So my question is it time for the Cubs to get serious about some roster spots that seems like right now we're just wasting away? And when I talk about wasting away, I'm talking about Luis Torrens and Edwin Rios. And there might be others. We can talk about them. But like, what do we do with these guys? Because I'm done with Torrens. Like it's at the point where he hasn't caught hardly at all. I don't even know if he's caught a game.
He has not caught one game. And I'll tell you what, unless I'm watching a game and he gets in there to pitch hit, or for some reason he's DH that day, I forget he's on the roster.
Right? Yep.
It's like,
I can only remember one time where he hit the ball well, and that was Oakland. I remember him putting one in the gap. And he might have had a couple other hits, but like that's the only one where I really remember like, oh yeah, Torrens did we needed a good hit in that inning. He came through with a big knock that kind of got the ball rolling for that inning. But like we can't rely on that to be our DH every once in a while. Like
he's got a 0.69 batting average right now.
Yeah, No, I think that's Edwin Rios.
Yeah, that's Rios. He's got a 250.
Either way,
yep,
they're not great.
And my thing is like his K percentage, Torrens' K percentage, his career, he's at like a 30% K percentage. That's average for his career. And this year, his K percentage is 36.4.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And he hasn't added any pop. Like when you look at I'm not going to say that the Cubs can't hit dingers. The Cubs have guys and they've hit plenty of dingers for us. We have pretty good running total right now in our dinger picks. We have guys that can hit dingers. But Torrens isn't adding anything to that. He isn't adding a threat, especially guys off the bench, especially guys that you want in the DH hole to be able to drive some runs in. I don't know if he's the guy to be filling there. And then we could talk about Edwin Rios. What do we do with Edwin Rios? You talked about his batting average, Jeff. What do we do with Edwin Rios?
Yeah, you got to make a spot for somebody else on that roster. I know it hasn't even been a full month of baseball yet, but earlier I talked about how we've already lost 6 games where we potentially could have won half those, if not all of those games. It's costing us early now. I don't know why we're waiting. Like Morel is ripping the cover off the ball at AAA. I mean, you bring him in, he can play more than third base. Like if he needed to spell Bellinger out in center field, even though that's going to hurt the center field defense, but he's going to bring more excitement to the game, and he's hitting way better than Rios.
Yeah, Rios right now in 16 at bats has 1 hit, and that was a dinger.
Right. Dude, I'll tell you what.
Only one.
I could turn into more pitches and get on first base more.
You would definitely have a better on base percentage, Jeff.
Do what you got to do. Help the ball club.
My thing is, I get why they have a roster spot for Edwin Rios with the you see him as a left-handed power bat, and you see what could be. It's kind of like basketball. Like I think basketball is one that where they sign guy, or especially in college, they like give guys scholarships on what they could be down the road, or especially basketball, like, oh, he's tall, he could turn into this type of player, and they're kind of given a roster on a hope,
right?
And that's what they're kind of doing. Like they are hoping that Edwin Rios figures it out in time. The thing is, this isn't the 2020, 2021 Cubs where you can give a spot to Patrick Wisdom and let him kind of go through it for a while and try to figure it out. This is the 2023 Cubs. We are trying to make the playoffs this year. We don't have time to waste letting a player go 1 for 16 and hardly get on base and not really play a lot and just eat up a spot.
Through 21 games, he's got 16 at bats. What's he DH like twice? So there's
and then maybe some pinch hits, like
6 to 8 at bats there. Yeah, that's a no bueno.
and Scott here says we have 0 power off the bench, and you're right. Like
none.
Edwin Rios should be that power, but he's not the pinch hit guy that we need coming off the bench, because he's not very aggressive. Whenever, like, and I think I heard this on the broadcast, and I can't remember if it was Joe Girardi, which we can move past what our thoughts on Joe Girardi in the booth is, but he did bring up, like, every successful pinch hit guy in history of baseball has been somebody that's been super aggressive, somebody that gets up there and can take their hacks, and it's not guys who work counts. And Edwin Rios almost like works himself into bad counts a lot, and then takes big hacks and comes up empty and K's way too much. And it's like, we need somebody to be aggressive early in the count. And I know Morel's that. If Morel could cut down his strikeouts, he could be that perfect balance. And I mean, Mervis, I'm just saying, like, Mervis could be that pinch hit guy off the bench. I know we want Mervis to play every day right now because he's developing, and it kind of hurts his development, maybe coming up and only getting 16 at bats like Edwin Rios. But I think you get more at bats in those situations when we need a guy off the bench to pinch hit, because he works walks and he drives the ball over the fence.
Right
out of the yard.
I don't know if I'm taking the conversation in a place you didn't want to go, but for me, I would rather have Mervis up taking those hacks. Like, I feel like we kind of know Morel as a hitter. I would like, if in my perfect world, we're getting rid of Rios and we're getting rid of Torrens and we're bringing up Mervis and Morel. Morel's starting at third base, Wisdom's DHing, and you throw in Mervis to spell Hosmer, Mancini, whatever's going on over in that corner, and just seeing what you have. If we're playing the let's see what we have game, I'd rather play it with those guys at the end of April.
Yes.
And then what do you do? We're going on down a rabbit hole now. It's like,
yep.
And then what do we do with Brennan Davis and Nelson Velazquez?
Right.
Because then you have those two guys. Nelson Velazquez, we bring up for one game, hits a grand slam, then say, hey, have a nice bus trip. Here's your ticket. Right. Go back to Iowa.
Thanks for coming out. Like, right. I didn't understand that.
I kind of got it because, like, I know Seiya was coming back and, like, kind of got caught one game. Like, what do you do? But, like, you don't do that. Like, it was electric what he did that game. Like, and then he didn't start or didn't pick up his bat until he got back in Iowa.
Right. No, and that at bat he had. I mean, he worked a count, got into a full count. I'm like, let's go either way. Next thing you know, we're celebrating.
That's a guy I'd like to see pinch hitting.
Yes.
He does a great job pinch hitting. He's a great guy to have there.
He's aggressive. He's going to take his hacks. Like, especially if you tell him that, like, dude, go up there hacking, man. Like, we want you to hit some bombs. He has the power in it.
Don't wait for a good one. If you see one you like, hit it.
Right. And we're only one Dale Hosmer away from seeing him up there. You know, we just get rid of that, and then we can have Morel and Mervis and Velazquez
One
up
Dale
there.
Hosmer.
Yep. Dale
If you
Hosmer.
didn't tune into last week's episode, Jeff didn't know that Hosmer's first name was Eric, or he just is choosing not to get attached to Hosmer. So he said he looks more like a Dale. So we're going to call him Dale Hosmer.
Dale Hosmer.
Yeah. I mean, and Scott again is saying Mancini and Hosmer are the same player. Pick one and DFA the other. And I know there's a lot of hate right now on Mancini. I still think there's a lot of good that Mancini could provide. I think he has enough bat to ball skills that he can do a little bit more, given a little bit of time. I do get the frustrations because he did go through it there for a little while. And
the frustration stemming from his poor defense in right field.
And I think he went through like a 0-for-16 stratch. He struggled there for like 3 or 4 games. And like I get even Hosmer, like eliminating the shift has helped him a ton this year, but he still hits the ball so weak. I think my son can hit the ball harder than him. But he did hit a dinger.
He did
the other day.
None of us picked him.
I don't think anybody. I think Jake picked him once.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
Which I was surprised.
Jake has picked him. And I think it was when they were in Cincinnati. Because for some reason, so he hadn't done anything up until the series when we got to Cincinnati. And then all of a sudden, he's just ripping the cover off the ball at the Great American Ballpark. And apparently, during that first game, when he busted out with a 3-for-4 or 4-for-4 game, the announcer's like, oh, yeah, he always hits the ball well here. What makes you hit good in Cincinnati? The Skyline Chili?
Yep, definitely.
I don't get it.
Well, let's get back to like.
Sorry, I took us.
No, it's good. So what one do we get rid of? Like what moves do we make? What do we need to make right now because we can't wait around. So you're saying Edwin, Rios, adios, because I don't think he has any options left.
The 2 guys that don't have a batting average.
Torrens, you can go down and catch once every 3 days down to Iowa and DH down there. Bring up Mervis and Morel.
Yep.
Yes.
Or would you bring up Morel and Velazquez?
That's not a bad combination.
Because for me, I don't want to bring up Mervis right now because he hasn't had as long in the minors as the other guys. I still want his development to grow, and especially like Morel's had a taste of major league pitching. We've seen that it's worked. He can hit major league pitching. I want a little bit more time for. I know Cubs Twitter is gonna like hate that, but like I don't want to ruin the development of Mervis. And not saying that he's not ready and that he couldn't come up and mash.
But if you bring up somebody too soon and they get off to a struggle, it could like screw with their confidence.
Yeah.
So maybe
I just don't want him to come up and then hit once every like 4 or 5 days.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think. Him coming up, if I'm being honest, Mervis coming up has to be tied to Hosmer getting DFA'd, or it's got to be tied to he's going to play every day. He's going to be the first baseman.
My date that I chose was June 20th.
Right. Yep.
It's still 2 months away.
But I get it.
That's also my anniversary. So that will help me remember.
Is that a date that also has something to do with somebody's time of service?
No. No.
Okay.
Nothing to do with service time. Well, let's we've talked a lot about that, but let's take a little bit more look at the Central. The NL Central. So we have the Pirates in first place.
Yeah, you heard that right. The Pirates are in first place.
Are the Pirates for real?
No.
No.
They haven't really played anybody. What have they played? Like one tough series?
So far, they've played the Reds twice,
Mm-hmm.
the
Dick
Rockies, the White Sox, the Cardinals, where they split the series, the Astros, where they lost the series.
Yeah, so no, they're not for real. This is all going to shake out here in the next 6 weeks, folks. I don't think they're for real. I just think they kind of got the luck of the draw of a soft start. And then I hope Cubs fans aren't too excited that the Cardinals are sitting in fourth place, because that's not going to last for very long either. They're going to figure something out.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and be a pessimist and think that we're going to finish middle of the pack this year. We could finish 1 or 2 in this division. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts on this wacky Central Division in the NL?
Right. That's what. Where did I see it today? Somebody had posted, I think it was Talking Baseball, had posted like the Pirates as buyers at the deadline. It had a whole bunch of like star players from other teams wearing Pirate jerseys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One, the Pirates aren't going to actually like trade for anyone. What would they can't pay. No, I don't think they've played anybody. I think, unfortunately, the voodoo in St. Louis is going to come back from somewhere, and that's going to happen. I'm interested to see what happens when we play the Pirates. Get to see them for a series and see it in action.
We don't play them until June 13th,
Right.
14th, 15th.
So
right?
we play them like
Another
a
month.
bunch in June and July, or what?
In June, we play 6 days and 2 weeks. 6 times in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So looking forward on the Pirates, they play a series with the Dodgers here, then the Nats, then they play Tampa, the Blue Jays, Rockies, and then Orioles.
Ooh.
So they have a little tough stretch with some easy mixed in, but this is where we're going to tell of who this Pirates team is. And they are young, but they did lose what's his name? Cruz.
Right,
O'Neal
Nelson
Cruz.
O'Neal, that right.
O'Neal Cruz, phenomenal shortstop, has a lot of power. The loss of him is going to hurt. It's going to tell out in the 162 that they would need him. They do have some young pitching that's pretty good. Their bullpen is pretty strong. So I get why they've won games at this point. They have pretty good pitching and a lights out bullpen, and they've had timely hitting.
Yep.
And McCutcheon has brought some life
McCutcheon.
back into that
Beat
team.
me to it. Yeah, McCutcheon always has the magic around him whenever he's playing the game, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I see them middle of the pack. I want to be optimistic and say that either the Brewers or the Cardinals are going to end up fourth in the division. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but
Well, they're going to lose more games than somebody else.
I suppose that's how it works. Thank you, John Madden.
No
The
problem.
team that scores the most points wins the game. I've heard. I don't know. I'm interested to see them. I feel like they're going to go through a grinder, and suddenly their win-loss totals are going to flip.
Well, let's look at the Brewers. Are the Brewers for real? They have run into the injury bug. Woodruff is down. Corbin Burns is kind of down. He got hurt. One of their other pitchers, I can't remember, he just got hurt. So they're down 3 pitchers. What do we think of the Brewers? Their offense is kind of carrying them. It's been scoring quite a bit of runs. What do we do with the Brewers?
I mean, if their offense stays hot, but hitting is streaky no matter how talented your lineup is. Everybody kind of slumps here and there, but you kind of had to expect at some point this was going to happen with their 2 starting pitchers and Burns and who's the other guy? I don't even want to say anything.
Woodruff.
Yeah, Woodruff. At some point, something's going to happen. Little tendonitis, little shoulder inflammation, something, and they're going to miss some starts. I mean, the pitching has kind of carried them, a couple seasons back up until this point. But yeah, I mean, it seems like whenever we play the Brewers, like everybody in that batting lineup is a tough out, and I really don't care for Rocky Telez. He's got a my God. Kevin, what are your thoughts on the Degens from up north?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I just pulled up like the run differential this year, and the Cubs are leading the Central at plus 39, and we know the teams we've run into. The Pirates are at plus 25, and we know the teams that they just played. And Milwaukee's at plus 27, which is, and their last 10, they're 7-3. Just surprised, like they seem to be weathering these injuries well, which is always what you want your team to do, but not that we want them to do that, but that tends to be how it works. I don't know. The Cardinals are at -2, and I'm not gonna go look at who they played because they're the Cardinals. I feel like the Milwaukee's gonna make a run once they get everybody back because they're gonna weather through this and they're gonna have that magic. Though
I really
they're gonna
don't
need
want the Brewers to win the Central again.
right. I don't.
We
I
need-
don't either. You know, I hope it comes down to the Cubs and the Brewers because I think.
Kevin, are you the Debbie Downer of this group?
I think so.
Well, right now, I was really excited about some other things. I just want the young players up to play. I want to go see it. I want to see them.
You brought up the Cardinals. I think the one thing that's going to hurt the Cardinals is their pitching right now is really struggled. Their offense is going to win some games for them just even without pitching. Like Arenado, Goldschmidt, those two alone are going to carry them. But they're pitching. They're down Wainwright. Their Flaherty isn't fully back to full health. I mean, he's pitching quality, but Michaelis has really struggled. I had him on my fantasy team, and like after the first 3 outings of him, I was like, I'm done with this guy. Released him. So Michaelis hasn't been there. Montgomery's been the only one that's really been pitching well for the Cardinals, and so they're always scary because you always feel like they're going to make a huge run and get hot late in the season. And so, but the thing is that we're saying this and we're talking about the Central because you see that door crack open. And
for somebody else.
Now's the time. And that's why we bring up those moves. It's like, now's the time that the Cubs need to make a move and get for real now. Like I get at the beginning of the year, I could understand the Torrens. I can understand Edwin Rios. Let's give him some time to see what we got in them. Even Hosmer and Mancini, let's figure it out. Let's see how these young guys do in AAA at the beginning of the season. See if they can prove something. But now it's like, okay, we can't give away games and expect to still be in contention when September hits to make that run playoff spot. And so why not make the move now? Get set. So then if you needed to make a move at the deadline, you could trade a Brandon Davis if you had to. You could trade Nelson Velazquez if you had to. I know those guys are great insurance in case Seiya goes down or in case whoever goes down, but like you need to make the move now to set up to be able to be in contention to buy at the deadline and to get this fan base. Like this fan base is at the edge of their seats. They're wanting to buy in to this team. They're wanting to, like, they're ready to spend all their money. They're ready to be in Wrigley Field cheering on a team playing in October, a meaningful game. And it's like, Jed, like, make the tough decision and either cut ties or send some guys down and tell this team we're for real. Tell this fan base that we're not messing around this year. And so that's what I think needs to happen. Get me excited. If they made a move tomorrow before the game and they sent down Edwin Rios and Torrens or did something like that, you would see Cubs Twitter going nuts.
For sure. Something's got to happen because
right. I feel like we're walking on an edge. Like, are we going to push over the edge and actually go for it, or are we going to just keep walking along the edge and we might fall off the other side? Like, we gotta pick a side. We're either going to go in it, or we're going to go back into the poop sandwich.
That's a pretty good analogy, Kevin, because I kind of felt like that's where we're at a certain point of last year, and then we ended up losing a bunch of games. So then at the trade deadline, it was a fire sale of our bullpen. What are we doing? Are we going to get better, or are we not going to get better?
All right, Jeffrey, let's go with your you can't fix stupid.
Okie dokie. I did text that to you, right?
Yep.
All right. So probably got some cat owners that are listeners, and this is exactly why you should not own a cat. This is why I'm not a cat person. Okay, they got bad attitudes.
They're the devils.
They are. So this dude is lucky to be alive after sustaining car crash injuries after being tripped by his cat.
Wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. I'll
what was the guy's name?
Eric Dale Hosmer.
No, it's Eric is the cat's name. His name's Chris Riley. He's 59. He's a musician that travels. Anyway, he was at home. He's from the UK. He miraculously survived after sustaining a broken neck, fractured spine, smashed ribs, blood in his lungs, and other car crash provoking injuries from tripping over his cat. So he says he can't remember much, just falling really fast. It was quick and it was over within seconds, and then I was at the bottom. And this is the part that really, like, his cat has a first and last name.
What's its name?
Eric Morcambe. Like
3, 2, 1. 6.3.
I give it a 1. It's a fucking cat.
Like, I don't.
Cat name. What's a cat name?
It's Eric Morcambe.
I'm giving a 6. That's a pretty good cat name.
I want to know if this cat's registered to vote.
Definitely. Well, in the UK.
Okay, so anyway, I don't know if, like, to me, a cat's a cat. So this cat's an Egyptian Sphinx kitten. It's hairless. It is absolutely a hideous cat. I'm not saying there's a pretty cat out there, but a bald cat, come on now. So this dude took a tumble down the stairs, and he laid there for 14 hours waiting for his wife to get off work, who's a nurse. He couldn't reach his phone because he couldn't move, and it eventually died. So he laid there until his wife found him at the bottom of their stairs in a pool of blood, and the cat was sitting on him. So this is why.
No.
Yeah. So this is why you can't. Okay. So he's laid up for months. He's lost money because he can't travel as a musician. This is why you don't buy cats, people, because they're vicious animals. Okay. They're vindictive pricks. You buy the wrong cat food. Next thing you know, you're laying at the bottom of your stairs.
Right.
That's the cat.
Looks like a naked mole rat.
Right? It's like somebody shaved a meerkat. Thing is hideous. So, if you got a cat, get rid of it.
Right away, right now. Just.
Do you know what a cat's favorite TV show is? Claw and Order.
Nice.
That's good. That's good. I approve of that joke.
This guy sustained catastrophic injuries from his cat.
See what you did there.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, Cubs play tomorrow, Padres series. So we're gonna be seeing Fernando Tatis is back. I really wish the Cubs would have played the Padres before Tatis came back, because he came back in his first series and hit a bomb. So, I mean, the big thing that I want to see going forward into this week is I want to see a roster move. I want to see something done. And I want to see our bullpen shake out and see somebody in the 8 and 9 that we can trust, and just that we can shore up. Right now, I feel like we have quality guys that don't know their role. And so they're just being thrown out there trying to match up. And I think that works. But also I think guys like to know their roles and like to know when they're coming in. And that's why closers are so successful, because they know, hey, I got the 9th. That's mine. Like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to shove for the 9. And so I'd like to see that continue our offense. Nico and Dansby at the top, setting the table for the rest. And yeah, that's what I want to looking forward to this week. Things to look out for. So that does it for episode 116 of the Dingers podcast. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs. Make sure you go following the Cubs on Tap on Twitter, also Cubbies on Tap, and On Tap Sports Network. We're part of the On Tap Sports Network. So go there on tapsportsnetwork.com where you're .net. I think it's net. One of those.
You figured out.
.net.
Figured it.
Where you can find all the best Chicago news for all your favorite Chicago sports, whether it's Blackhawks, Bears, Bulls, White Sox, Cubs. We got it all covered there, as well as some amazing podcasts. So go check them out there and go get yourself some Connect Roasters coffee. I've been brewing up some Connect Roasters in the morning, and it's been awesome. Waking up to a nice cup of Joe, starting my day off right, especially when I getting up early. So get yourself some Connect Roasters, and here in a couple of weeks we'll be choosing our second member of the month of the Home Run Club. So, and we've been getting a lot of Dinger dollars, so go sign up using code DingersPod and get 25% off your first order of the Home Run Club. And every time a Cubs player hits a dinger, you get $1 to put towards your order or to buy something else at Connect Roasters. And every time Ian Happ hits a home run, you get a Dinger dollar, home or away.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Sign up. But yeah, that does it for episode 116 of the Dingers podcast. Thanks for listening.
I had a question.
Yeah.
If you guys ever lost like your vision and you had to get a service dog, what would you name it?
Blinky.
Really?
No.
I'm going with Ray Charles or Ronnie Millsap.
Right. He'd have to
I
go.
would.
I like it. Ray Charles.
Come here, Ray. Ray. Where you at, Ray?
I would name it Keller. Helen Keller.
Nice.
All right. Good night. Go Cubs.